will make November more exciting, I hope will make November more exciting and get folks out, will be the ballot measures that are going to be on the ballot in November, and to some degree, the down tickets. And so the race for lieutenant governor, I think, is going to be a real race, with Delaney Kunalakis running against State Senator Ed Hernandez. I think that's going to be a race. I think she's going to spend some money. I think he'll spend some money. I think Labor will be involved in that race. It's interesting because it's a job that doesn't have very much to do except wait for the governor to leave the country. But Elaine's a former ambassador. She's got great Democratic chops, and I think is probably using this as leveraging this opportunity to position herself for higher office down the road. So I think that one's going to be consequential. The other one I think is probably worth talking about is the election for state superintendent. Okay. Again, the governor of schools. And again, the governor and the legislature have far more say over what happens, in school boards have a lot more say over what happens in our school districts than either of the two guys that are running. But because one is backed by the charter school movement and the other is backed by the California Teachers Association, I think that race is going to be one where there's a lot of money spent, and I think CTA, as it typically does, will use its resources to drive people out to be sure that Tony gets elected.
One thing I want to tell you about the initiatives that could possibly drive up Republican turnout in November. There are three that are significant to mention. One is the repeal on the gas tax, right? That's going to drive up Republicans to the polls. The other one, not necessarily would drive a Republican vote as a standalone, is what is called the Business Roundtable's sponsored effort to increase the local voting threshold on when you pass local taxes to 2/3. And here's the ticket. In that potential initiative, you have to earmark where those funds are going to be spent. And this is a direct fickle finger of blame, right, at cities' ability to increase taxes to pay for your pension obligations and your unfunded liability. So keep an eye on that.
There are a handful of seats where there are going to be same party contests in November, but largely they're Democrats and Republicans running against each other. And when we get to the congressional races, that's going to be, I think, probably the place where California is going to make national headlines the most for the rest of this election cycle.